hold on. This is like this might be a little beyond me with the Ben Shapiro and Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate are all kind of going back and forth with each other on Twitter, but I'm curious about it. So yeah, I know of the attacks from Hamas, which my understanding is a terrorist organization, an Islamic terrorist organization. But just to be clear, that's not like everybody, right? I mean, the war is very complicated. Some people call it like a militant group. I think Hamas is obviously bad, but obviously the Palestinian people aren't bad. There's just a conflict over, who gets what land. It's very complicated. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, this is the right or wrong side. I think probably both sides. I think that people like Israelis, they want to claim to their holy land, and the Palestinians don't want to be moved out of their territory. It's very complicated. So I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I know everything, but it seems like they're having a conflict. So I guess this is this just in. UN Special Rapporteur, I don't know why, that's a weird way to spell that, for human rights in Palestine. We are horrified by what is happening, and we call for a truce. That's probably the right way to go. Call for a truce. And Ben Shapiro says they could fuck right off. Complicated, but attacking civilian targets is a little of a touchy subject. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. It's a good idea. Listen, it's very complicated what's going on. To say they should... I don't know. I don't like this response. I mean, the goal is peace in the Middle East. I understand Ben Shapiro is Jewish, so he's feeling a little bit more riled up, probably. But okay. Anyway, Ben Shapiro throws down here, or excuse me, Andrew Tate responds and says, "Mr. Tough Guy, let me assure you, someone who does his own fighting." Very good English. As opposed to excitedly encouraging others to do it for him while sitting at home in a comfy chair. Peace is always worth a conversation. I mean, I don't like Andrew Tate. He's a scumbag, but I don't think that he's wrong. He's got a good point. I mean, Andrew Tate isn't actually fighting in the war. So, but either way, yeah, there is something to be said about Ben not having, not being fighting and encouraging more fighting. I mean, kind of based Andrew Tate. You hate to say it. So anyway, I guess Tristan Tate also responded. Oh, okay. No, Ben Shapiro then responded to that and said, "Let me assure you, as someone who has not pimped women and bragged about it, that morally requires that those who rape women and kidnap children must be eradicated, not negotiated with." Wow. I find it really interesting that Ben just recently made... Every single time Ben talks about... Andrew Tate or the red pill, he's very easy on it. He's like, guys, we're kind of on the same side. Like, even though the allegations against Andrew Tate are very credible that he's a sex trafficking rapist, you could just look into the information. It's just, I don't know what else to tell you, man. I know he's claimed that it's just over TikToks and it's no girl has come forward. Those two claims are false, objectively. The claims... there's a lot of information out there. You could see him bragging about a lot of this stuff. You can look at leaked messages of him talking about how he will beat women into line if they don't listen. There's a lot, and frankly, the best source, weirdly enough, is to go look at the Willie Max videos on it. I've reacted to I think all of them, but you're better off just watching his. There's legitimate proof about Andrew Tate lying. There's one instance where his bottom bitch. He admits that she's like 15 years old when he started having sex with her. There's a lot. I would recommend giving them... That's where I would say your source of information is. But anyway, Ben is like really, really, really like, oh, we're friends. Any call out is like bullshit. It is. I just remember watching one of his most recent videos, where he like gently slaps the manosphere. Like, he's just kind of like, oh, guys, we're on the same side. Like, some of what you're saying is okay, but like, come on. It's this one. Do not take the red pill. It's just it's a pussy call out. But then all of a sudden the switch flips. The switch flips itself. Boom. The second that it comes to like this, right? To me, it's very clear Ben has a lot more to say that he would have said. but he doesn't want to upset the Tate fans because he's a coward. That is more, he's more interested in like audience capture and maintaining an audience than actually speaking the truth, right? Anyway, yeah, let me reread this. Let me assure you, as someone who has not pimped women and bragged about it, that morally requires that those who rape women and kidnap children must be eradicated, not negotiated with. So Tristan says, a Jewish man speaking of eradication of race of a people. 2023 is a scary time to be alive. I wonder how many of the women and kids who are soon to be obliterated, kidnapped, or raped anybody. My guess is zero. This is nihilistic and evil. Kind of true. Well, for one, the eradication part, Jewish people weren't doing anything to anybody during World War II, right? The argument here is that like Hamas, not Islamic people, Hamas is doing the bad stuff, but there's a lot of civilians who don't deserve to get hurt. There's a lot of people who are just trying to live their lives, right? And yeah, I mean, they're kind of right. You're kind of right. I mean, if they're bombing civilian targets, like, yeah, peace should be made. Sure. I don't think any, yeah, okay. I don't know what else to say. There's not a whole lot for me to say. I don't know. I called for those who rape women and kidnap children to be eradicated. So not only are you immoral, you're apparently illiterate. But that's not necessarily true, because here's the thing. They're saying, let's negotiate. My understanding is that the negotiation is happening because civilians are getting hurt on both sides. And so now the concept is like, Hamas is attacking and they're hurting civilians, and then the counterattacks are also hurting like other civilians. And the idea is like, we got to get this under control. We have to stop the fighting because civilians are dying. So sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot else to say. So to sit here and say like, oh, I was only talking about the ones who were doing bad things. I mean, that's not necessarily true, right? But okay. Yeah, I'm sure only men who fight for Hamas die in these airstrikes you're praising. The footage from the ground says otherwise. Either you change your tune 22 hours or you literally forgot what you post. Okay. Yeah, I mean, kind of base. There's really not a lot else to say. I don't know if Ben Shapiro. I don't think Ben responds after that. Oh, I mean, they're still engaging in the back and forth, is what seems to be happening right now. Yeah, man. I don't know. I guess we could. Somebody had sent me an article, because I'm not like super educated on this whole topic, so I'm not going to pretend to be. I'm kind of learning as you guys are learning. So, I mean, let's talk. Somebody sent me this article, so let's check it out. The Palestinian militant group Hamas has launched an unprecedented attack on Israel, with its fighters entering communities near the Gaza Strip, killing hundreds of residents and taking dozens of hostages. Here's what you need to know about the people and places involved and the essential context to understand the story. All this shit's like so complicated, What is Hamas? Hamas is a Palestinian militant group which rules the Gaza Strip. It is sworn to Israel's destruction and wants to replace it with an Islamic State. Hamas has fought several wars with Israel since it took power in 2007. In between those wars, it has fired or allowed other groups to fire thousands of rockets at Israel and carried out other deadly attacks. Israel has also repeatedly attacked Hamas with airstrikes and, together with Egypt, has blockaded the Gaza Strip since 2007 for what it says is its security. Hamas as a whole, or in some cases as a military wing, is designed a terrorist group by Israel, or designated, Jesus Christ, the United States, the European Union, and the UK, as well as other powers. Hamas is backed by Iran, which funds and provides weapons and training. What is the Gaza Strip? The Gaza Strip is a 41-kilometer, 25-mile long, and 10-kilometer wide territory between Israel, Egypt, and the Mediterranean Sea. It is home to about 2.3 million people and has one of the highest population densities in the world. Israel controls the airspace over Gaza and its shoreline and restricts who and what goods are allowed in and through its border crossing. Similarly, Egypt controls who passes in and out the border through its border with Gaza. Interesting. About 8% of the population of Gaza depends on international aid, according to the Jesus. and about 1 million people rely on daily food aid. What is Palestine, and when did the conflict with Israel begin? The West Bank and Gaza, which are known as Palestinian territories, as well as East Jerusalem and Israel, all form part of a land known as Palestine since Roman times. Right. So my understanding is they want, like, Jewish people want their Holy Land that they were kicked out from during or before that time, like during the Roman times. They were kicked out. I mean, Jewish people have really had a rough life. So that's my understanding, and they want the claim back to this land. But now, obviously, Palestinian people, they're there. It's their land now. It's like a whole complicated thing. It's very. I don't know if this war ever ends until somebody just decides to leave, or like either I don't know, man. It's just kind of fucked. It seems like it's very religious based. I mean, I understand the idea of wanting to have your Holy Land back. On the other hand, we as Americans, we're like, well, we colonized this land. It's kind of ours now. It's time to move forward. So it's interesting that we go and we're like, oh, you know. These were also the lands of Jewish kingdom in the Bible and are seen by the Jews as their ancient homeland. Israel was declared a state in 1948, though the land is still referred to as Palestine by those who do not recognize Israel's right to exist. Palestinians also use the name Palestine as an umbrella term for the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem. Okay. Why did Hamas attack now? Although the attack by the militants on October 7th came without warning, it happened at a time of soaring Israel-Palestine tensions. This year has been the deadliest year on record for Palestinians in the Israel-occupied West Bank, which could have motivated Hamas to strike Israel with a spectacular attack. Hamas might also have been seeking to score a major propaganda victory against Israel to boost its popularity among ordinary Palestinians. The fact that it has taken so many Israelis captive is likely to be aimed at pressuring Israel to free some of its about 4,500 Palestinians held in Israel prisons, a highly emotive issue for all Palestinians. There is also speculation that the attack was orchestrated by Iran, Israel's arch foe, though Iran's ambassador, the UN, has denied his country's involvement. Well, yeah, of course he's going to deny it if it is true. I'm not saying it is or isn't true. Iran and Hamas also staunchly oppose the growing prospect of a historic peace deal, between Israel and Saudi Arabia, something which might be thwarted if Israel's military response to the attacks provokes widespread anger in the Arab world. How unprecedented is this attack? As our internal editor, Jeremy Bowen, writes, this is the most ambitious operation Hamas has ever launched from Gaza and the most serious cross-border attack Israel has faced in more than a generation. Militants breached the wire that separates Gaza from Israel in multiple places. The unprecedented attack came a day after the 50th anniversary of the surprise attack by Egypt and Syria in 1973 that started a major Middle East war. The significance of the date will not have been lost on the Hamas leadership. Is this a major Israeli intelligence failure? Yes, says our security correspondent Frank Gardner. I mean, are we assuming that they would have to know what was going on here? I mean, I guess. Because people, I mean, that's what I heard. I remember when it first happened, people were talking about how it was massive and it was completely out of nowhere. With the combined efforts of Shin Bet, Israel Domestic Intelligence, Mossad, its extreme external spy agency, and all the assets of Israel Defense Forces, he says, it is frankly astounding that nobody saw this coming or failed to act on it if they did have a warning. Israel has arguably the most extensive and well-funded intelligence services in the Middle East, with informants and agents inside Palestinian militant groups, as well as in Lebanon, Syria, and elsewhere. Well, yeah, true, the real victims are the civilians. Wow. This is wild. Sorry. High risk area, no-go area. Jesus. Okay. On the ground along the tense border fence between Gaza and Israel, there are cameras, ground motion sensors, and regular army patrols. The barbed wire topped fence is supposed to have been a smart barrier to prevent exactly the sort of infiltration that has taken place in the attack. Yet the militants of Hamas simply bulldozed their way through it, cut holes in the wire, or entered Israel from the sea. Oh, by paraglider? What? What the hell is a paraglider? What do I think a paraglider is? I'm thinking something that's on the back of a Nintendo, back of a Mario Kart. They came in from that. Holy fuck! Probably didn't look like this. I think that we have parachutes, I guess was what I generally think of. But what could happen next? More live latest updates. I might like to take a look at that. Hamas militant commando Mohammed. Okay, so yeah. Deef has called, I don't know if I said that right, whatever, called on Palestinians and other Arabs to join the militant operation to sweep away the Israeli occupation. Damn, they're really going to go push. This is going to be bad. This is really going to go, Jesus Christ. A big question now is whether Palestinians in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem or elsewhere in the region will heed his call, says our Jerusalem correspondent. I don't know how to say his name. Yolande Neal. Okay. Stop. Quite surprised the chain link fence didn't stop them. Yeah, for sure. Israel undoubtedly sees the potential for a war that could open up on multiple fronts. A worst case scenario is that it could draw in the powerful Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. On Sunday morning, Hezbollah launched a number of missiles and shells at northern Israel without causing casualties. The Israeli military has ordered a massive reinforcement of troops as well as its intense air raids on Gaza. It is indicated that it is planning a ground operation there. Wow. Okay.